All right. Second lightning round question. Buy or
Right.
sell? Are you buying or selling that early stage SaaS companies should focus on flat rate, for example, seat based pricing instead of usage based pricing models?
How early?
Oh, good question. Well, why don't we split it up? So early, let's start with seed, Series A. So those that are just kind of getting their product out and go
If
ahead.
you're just getting your product out, I used to be very focused on let's feature differentiate, let's do all the things, but it is far too early. I've
Mm,
realized over the years that the level of sophistication that's required in product and understanding your customer is just too high for it. And it's not an insult, it's just reality. And so a lot of companies come out of the gate and they use examples in the market that are just not them. They will use
mm,
examples like Dropbox and all these big
hmm.
companies that have
Yep.
already arrived, and they have this, good, better, best pricing, and that's who they should copy.
In that early stage company, are you arguing then they should pursue a seat based model because it's a bit simpler versus the usage based because they haven't fully understood how their product is going to be used and how they should monetize it?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the type of product. If it's
Sure.
inherently a usage-based product, then of course usage-based is the way
Okay.
to go.
Right. Yeah.
And it's
Right.
not even
Hmm.
really seat-based versus usage-based for me. It's more about all-in-one versus packaged. And I really do believe that, at the very, very beginning, you should be selling one thing, one group of things to everybody in a model that makes sense to you.
Uh-huh.
Whether that happens to be usage or, feature differentiated or flat rate plus limits to
Right.
control downside, protect against your downside until you truly understand how people are really using your product. And once you truly
Right. And
understand how they use your product and get the value, then you can start to tease apart features and usage and understanding what people are doing in order to create that friction to get people to move into higher tiers or whatever it happens to be. And at some point, you will find that there's some value dilution happening as you add features and you keep all in one and you start people saying, well, I don't need all these features. That's a sign, that's a signal that it's time for you to start to package.
the packaging, the classic package, what you were alluding to is that good, better, best, right? Or
Yeah.
bronze, silver, gold, and what features or services are included in each of those packages. I remember when I was at Salesforce, we had effectively that model, and it was always how do you package up the set of features each year that are going to encourage people to move into the next tier. And that was back when they were doing seat-based model. But there's also a real opportunity to monetize services as well. Was the not just the software, but the insights and the value you can offer, I think is another opportunity when thinking about pricing. I know for us at Maxio, it's one of the things we're trying to figure out is our add-on packaging and pricing, and what does that
Mhm.
look like, and what services do people want and are willing to pay for from you? Data migration, revenue optimization. Well, those are all things that an overworked CFO or head of finance may say, yeah, I absolutely need some help there. And so I'm willing to pay for it. So going back to your point, talking to your customers, getting the sense for where their pain is, and do you have capabilities that can deliver value is the heart of the pricing.
Yeah, and then if you can come up one level above that, once you have so you have the capability, you can solve the pain, is map it into a job to be done. Because if you can map it into jobs to be done into that framework, it just makes packaging so much easier. Because now
Yeah.
you're focused on what are they actually trying to achieve in this job to be done. So for example, in your CFO example, it's like, well, they're trying to achieve, compliance or whatever it happens to be. So the job they're trying to get done is those things. Cool. What do we need to actually put in an add-on that solves that problem for a CFO? And I think it just helps switch us away from these ideas around pains and painkillers and vitamins and
Mm.
all this kind of stuff and really gets us into this sort of like they're hiring someone to do this or something to do this without us. Whether we exist or
Yeah.
not, they're going to get it done. So how do we actually do it? So I think that's the one level above that, which I think is a big unlock, I think, for a lot of companies. If you can think in
Yeah.
those terms, you'll find packaging so much easier.
And I think that's the implication is that pricing is not just a CFO function, it's a full company function. And so that idea of the jobs to be done is, well, that is informed by your product managers who are going out and identifying what are the use cases. It's the engineering team developing and delivering. It's the product marketers who are able to articulate that value, right? And then it's how do you make that happen through the system with an appropriate package and pricing. So I do think when battery again, when I showed up that first day 2.5 years ago, they're like, Randy, you got to make pricing a muscle. You can't outsource it. You have to make that a muscle that you and your executive team are taking on and looking at on a regular basis. And we have a pricing council we meet once a month now, and that wasn't something I had done at other companies. And so it really is a discipline, that art and science that we've talked about, that you've got to build to scale.